When you glance at a company's financial report, what do you really see? Is it just a boring page of numbers? Well, what if I told you those numbers can actually tell a dramatic story of strategy, of failure, and of an incredible transformation? Okay, let's dive into this using the real-world example of a company called HSIL. So let's kick things off in the second quarter of 2019. Picture this. On the surface, HSIL looks like a really solid, well-run company. The numbers are painting a picture of good health and, more importantly, a picture of real focus. And what's so striking here is just how simple it all looks. By mid-2019, the company's revenue was coming from just two main divisions. Packaging products was just crushing it, bringing in over 300 crores. That's more than double the next biggest division. Yeah, it looks like a lean, mean, focused machine, right? And hey, it wasn't just about the money coming in the door. That star player, the packaging division, was also a serious profit engine, churning out nearly 38 crores for the quarter, a strong performer by any metric. So you've got a simple structure, a clear star player, but, things are rarely what they seem. And that's where the real story begins to unfold. So was this company always this focused? Was its star player always so successful? Well, if you dig into the numbers from just a little while earlier, the answer is a big, fat no. Okay, so let's jump in our time machine and go back just over a year to the first quarter of 2018. Because what we find there is, well, it's a completely different story, a lot more complicated, and frankly, a whole lot messier. Okay, check this out. Back in early 2018, instead of two main divisions, HSIL was juggling 5 of them. Building products was doing okay, bringing in a solid profit. But just look at the others. Consumer products was bleeding over 6 crores. The retail business was also in the red. And get this, what about that division that was supposed to be their future star player? You guessed it. That same packaging division, the absolute powerhouse of 2019, was actually losing money. We're talking almost 2 crores down the drain in Q1 of 2018. So far from being the hero of the story, it was actually part of the problem. And that single fact is the key to this whole incredible transformation. So this is the million-dollar question, right? How on earth does a company go from a complex, sprawling operation with several money-losing parts to a streamlined, profitable machine in just over a year? Well, the answer wasn't a small tweak here or there. It was a massive, bold, strategic pivot. And this slide just lays it all out, plain and simple. On one side, you've got 2018, a strategy of doing a little bit of everything, but carrying a lot of dead weight. And on the other side, 2019, pure, ruthless focus. They decided to stop trying to be everything to everyone and instead to be great at just a few things. So let's really see what that 2018 problem looked like. I mean, look at this. You had building products holding its own, nicely profitable. But then you've got these other huge parts of the business, packaging and consumer products, just dragging everything down. They're deep in the red. Okay, now let's flip to the after picture, the 2019 result. And wow, it is a night and day difference. Not only are those money-losing segments just gone, but look at what happened to packaging products. It did a complete 180. It went from a problem child to the most profitable part of the whole company, and by a long shot. So you have to be asking, right? What happened to those other divisions, like consumer products and retail? Here's the thing. They didn't try to fix them. They didn't pour more money into them. Nope. They just cut them loose, exited the business completely. The numbers don't lie. Their revenue dropped to 0. Why? Because the company made a tough call to stop the bleeding and focus its resources where it mattered. Now that kind of move, that's like major surgery for a company. It's got to be painful. So the big question is, did it pay off? Let's check the bottom line for the whole company. All right, so remember back in Q1 2018, when they were juggling all 5 divisions, their total profit was a pretty measly 2.1 crores. Basically, the one good part of the business was working overtime just to cover all the losses from the others. Okay, now let's jump forward to Q2 2019, after they made that big change. By getting lean and focusing on just their 2 core businesses, the company's total profit just exploded. It skyrocketed to 15 crores. That's more than a 7x increase. Think about that. The proof is right there in the numbers. Less was truly more. So what does this all mean for the people who actually own a piece of the company? The shareholders. Well, for them, the impact was huge. And you can see it right here.
Earnings per share. That's a really key number for investors. It leaped from just 29 paise all the way up to over 2 rupees. Let me tell you, that is the kind of jump that makes investors sit up and pay very close attention.
Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, let's pull back from the specifics of HSIL for a second and think about the bigger picture. Because what we just saw wasn't just some boring accounting exercise. It was a masterclass in business strategy told entirely through numbers.
And this quote really just nails it, doesn't it? Financial statements are so much more than just numbers. They're like a blueprint of a company's strategy, right? You can see the tough decisions they made, and you can see how the business is evolving. So let's just do a super quick recap of this incredible story we found in the numbers. HSIL basically went from this big, complex, messy company to a super focused, profitable one. And how'd they do it? They made the really tough call to just walk away from their unprofitable businesses. That one bold move let them turn a money-losing division into their main profit engine. And the result? A massive jump in the company's profit and, of course, in shareholder value.
When you boil it all down, the story of HSIL is just this incredible lesson in the power of strategic focus. It really proves that sometimes real growth isn't about adding more stuff. It's about having the guts to subtract what's not working. And the craziest part, this whole corporate drama was laid out line by line right there in their financial reports for anyone to see. And that kind of leaves us with one final thought to chew on. Once you learn how to read the language of these numbers, you start seeing these amazing stories everywhere. So the next time you look at a spreadsheet or a company's report, don't just see the numbers. Challenge yourself. Ask the question, what story is hiding here in plain sight?